Hello everyone. This is Agbrokotee, and I'm making this series of videos in response to some messages I've gotten from some of you, my brothers and sisters in the West who want to relocate. Some have asked me about what I think about relocating and how I feel, what I feel they should do and things they should know before they make such a life-changing trip. Anyways, I just say this before I start, and it's more or less a public announcement. If you do not consider yourself Black African, if you are Black and you do not consider yourself Black African, or you do not identify with continental Black Africans, you do not want to have anything to do with them because you feel you are different from them, you are not the same, please don't watch this video. But if you feel that you are the same as me, a continental Black African, and you have been playing or thinking or seriously considering the idea of relocating back to Africa, then please do watch this video, because I think I have a few important things I would like to share with my people. Also, please, if you are continental African and you're probably one of those Nigerians over here who's been sending me hate mails, please don't watch this video, because I'm going to say a lot of things that will aggravate and annoy people like you. And for all those Nigerians in Nigeria who have been sending me so much encouraging mails, I am very grateful. Anyways, first and foremost, I just say, why would any African in the West, with all the stories about poverty and wars and crimes and hatred, hunger, corruption, why would any Black African from the West or the West Indies want to relocate back to Africa? Well, in my own opinion, I'll just say this first: racial hate in the West is enough to make anybody who's thinking soundly get up and leave the West. I've gone through a lot of information on YouTube concerning the KKK, skinheads, and other racially inclined associations against Black Africans in the West. And I must say, what I've seen is just like a horror movie. I cannot imagine such tension and pressure. Sincerely speaking, when I lived in Nigeria, and this is another reason why I can't wait to go back, I never experienced such tension and pressure, hate between people. Someone's having an open air rally without the police stopping it. Someone's having an open rally and saying they hate, sorry for using the N-word, they hate niggers. And they don't have to have a reason for hating them except that they breathe the same air that they breathe. And that niggers are wretched and the scum of the earth. I don't understand why anybody would sit down and accept such insult on their personality. I do not feel that it is a healthy environment to bring up kids. I've watched some videos that even include people teaching their children how to be racially, how to racially hate other people. So I cannot understand why anybody would want to stay there, except for the fact that yes, I was born there, it's the only place I know. But I feel it's time for some people to tell themselves some home truth. Do you really consider the West your home? Even if you've been born there, with the way, doesn't it tell you something that people have, even when you have been born there, they still do not respect that fact that you have been born there. Every opportunity they have, they remind you that you have a continent, go back to it. And maybe they're right. Maybe they're right, because I feel the prompting of the white man saying that you should go back to your continent might just be a blessing in disguise. Because the way I see things, Africa is getting to a stage where a lot of Black Africans are no longer studying and staying back in the West. They are going back home because great things are happening in Africa. A lot of things, the media doesn't show those great things. It's only the negative part of things that are happening within Africa that they show. We talk about poverty. Are people not living in poverty in New York? Are people not living in poverty in the West Indies? Poverty is not a new thing to anybody, any part of the world. Poverty is poverty. War. Is there no war in Iraq? Are people not still living in Iraq? Yeah? Corruption. Look, whether we like it or not, even a lot of the American elections are sometimes ridden with corruption. So what are we talking about? But racial hate is something that I still cannot come to terms with. The extent of the hate is deep and it is so rotten. I cannot understand why someone will want to continue to live in such an environment. And I must say, the earlier people who are ready to relocate make up their minds, the better. Because Africa is coming to a stage where things are moving fast, and a lot of Africans might not want to, a lot of Africans who have built up the continent in some years to come will not want to identify with those Africans who stayed behind. And another thing that we have never bothered to ask ourselves is this. Like here in the UK, I've noticed the Chinese students, Indian students, a lot of students from other parts of the world, once they finish their studies, they are very quick to go back home. A lot of them don't even wait for graduation. They get exempted and they go back home. Haven't we noticed how a lot of these people are going back to their continents and making something out of it? But we are very quick. It is only black people who are quick to insult their own home continent and say, oh, what do you think about, like I saw a male, a Nigerian born Canadian, calls herself Livy the Canuck, which I think is Olivia the Canadian, in quote, because I've gone and searched and I've seen that Livy the Canuck is still Olivia the Canadian, asking a stupid question saying, do you think, what do you think about all these questions about blacks going to help Africans in Africa bullshit? You see, Africa has come to a stage, and this is what I keep saying, we should try and stop all these charity programs for AIDS, poverty. This is not what we need. For me, I feel that we need to get rid of the bad government, the bad leaders, whether by killing them, I don't know, but we just have to get rid of bad governance. That is just the central single problem of Africa, bad governance. You see, if we're able to do away with that, then we'll be able to restructure the continent. And trust me, a lot of black Africans who studied in the West are going back and doing something about it. The process is gradual. It's not one day. So now picture this. What would it be like if, we decided to heed the call of the white man for us to go back to our continent? What do you think it would be like if all of us in the West, as black African people, go back to that continent and gradually start to change things? And I say gradually for a reason. Gradually start to change things in that continent. I believe Africa is a place we can build where every African, no matter where they might be, will be proud of. Only some of us will dust our asses, get up and go back. Anyways, that said, I'm going to be talking about different aspects of life that you will be encountering when if you decide to relocate, different aspects of life that you should consider when trying to relocate back to Africa. And the thing is that I'll be talking on education, employment. I'll be talking about crime. I'll be talking about religion, healthcare, training kids. I'll be talking a little bit on politics, hygiene, and business. So I'll be doing that in the different videos. It might be 3 parts a 3-part video or a 4-part video, but anyways, I'll be dealing with these issues one after the other. So this is part 1, and then I'll move on to part 2. Okay, so this is part 2, and I'll start by talking about the term being a stranger. When you first get in, talking about people considering you as strangers. In my last video, I talked about this at length and addressed the fact that it's even done to us. In the coming home Ghana video, the lady in the market was talking about the market women considering her in a term. I've quite forgotten what they used, the Ghanaian term that was used, and the meaning was that they were being called white people. Well, I just say this, even in Nigeria where I come from, it is not a new thing. I'm studying in the West, my husband and I. As soon as we go back, if I go to the market and I'm talking, they will say, oh, it's those people that have been abroad, Oyinbo, that's what they call it, Oyinbo. They will call me a white person. So it's not a big deal. And they do not say it out of hate, because in that documentary I was a bit put off. You know, most times when, I'm not generalizing, but when white people portray us, they portray us through their own eyes. It's a white person who would take that as a big deal. But where we come from, even if I go to the village and I'm talking like this, they will say, ah, Oyibo, they have come. Simply meaning people who have lived abroad are here. It doesn't mean they consider you a white person. In some ways, it is even a form of praise, because that even shows you have traveled far and you are exposed. That's part of what they mean when they say such things. And definitely, as I said in my last video, you will be treated as a stranger at first, but participating will help you integrate better. Then also, I cannot understand why people who relocate from the West tend to think it's extremely necessary to go straight to the rural parts of wherever they've relocated to. You don't have to. You have to do things gradually. As soon as you get into the country, the place you should be aiming to stay should be the urban part. With time, you can visit the rural parts and see how it is. Because even those of us who are going to be coming from the West and going back, you will discover that when we go to even the urban areas, they will identify instantly, oh, you're someone who's lived in the West, without you even talking. And they will treat you in that way. So I do not understand why someone would go straight to the village. I know you want to get a feel of things, but it would be advisable first and foremost to get a place within the city, integrate with the city people, and from there you can, if you start making friends within the city, you can tell them you want to accompany them to the village so you see the village life. Because even in the city they will still treat you like a stranger. So why not? But it wouldn't be too much, because most people in the city are exposed. So I don't even think you should have a problem with being treated as a stranger, if not that you went straight to the village. So let us first do things gradually, move into the cities, and then from there you can start visiting the villages and see how things are done there. Then I heard so many comments about Americans coming in, black Americans coming in, and then a lot of the locals are envious of their wealth. Tough luck, but sincerely speaking, this is the way things are. I keep using myself as an example. I'm studying here now. As soon as I get my qualification, my husband gets his, we move back to Nigeria, we get good jobs. Yes, people will envy us. It's not something, I don't know how to say, it's not something strange. there are times my husband and I, we joke and say, oh, by the time we're riding nice cars, people will be like, oh, they're fronting, look at them. But they don't know how much we have struggled to get where we are. As long as you know you did not steal your money that you're going to use to relocate, as long as you know even you're relocating, you're going to work hard and make something of yourself where you're going to, then I don't think that should be a problem. Be yourself. Be yourself, but respect everybody, no matter how much money you have. That is the clause behind it. No matter how wealthy we are, when we go back to Nigeria, we will make sure we respect everybody, our elders and people around us. It doesn't make the issue of envy. It doesn't make it too pronounced. Everywhere you go, people will envy you, no matter where you are. So to me, that is not even an issue. And then another thing I saw within the video, the lady was talking about people just wanting to be around you for your money, and there were clips of children who were around her, and I think one of the child was asking her for money. But you see, this is what I keep saying about the media portraying things in the wrong way. For Christ's sake, when I was little, we had neighbors. If we were playing outside, we had neighbors, and this is a common practice in Nigeria. I don't know of other parts of Africa, but I think so also. We had neighbors who, oh, hello, and we all would crowd, auntie, auntie, uncle, uncle, and the next thing they would do would be to give you some change. Go and get yourself sweeties, go and get yourself biscuits. I miss those days, because now I can't get up and just go, auntie, please, can I get some money? They'd say, oh, you're a big woman. But those days, we enjoyed ourselves in that way, because our aunties, our uncles, our neighbors, our friends, their parents would give us some change, go and buy biscuits. So it's not a big deal. It's not because of poverty. It's just the way things are, the way we show our love to our children. We give them, even if it's your child, it's not your child, it is not something like a taboo. If you have kids, maybe the area you've relocated into, your children are so integrated, they come around, they play, and you find a neighbor of yours giving their kids and your kids some money to share, to go and buy biscuits, it is not a big deal. It is not because they think you cannot eat. It is just a general practice, a show of love by your neighbors to your kids, and you can also do that if you are moved to. So I cannot understand why it would be a big deal that someone's giving some kids who are playing by the beach some money. Well, I used to be like that. We all used to be giving money one way or the other. By strangers, by friends. Not too much by strangers, because our mom would beat us. But by friends, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I'll stop here and then go to the next part, which would be on education and employment, when you're thinking about education and employment when you relocate. Alright, bye. Yeah, so this is part 3, and I'll be talking about education and employment. First and foremost, I will just quickly say that when I came to the UK, I stayed with an auntie and the kids. One was, I think, 12 and the other was 8. And I was not entirely satisfied. They were in a mainstream school. Not too bad a school, quite a good school, but I was not impressed with the level of education. They weren't taught so much, and it wasn't really broad-based. Like, I had a problem getting an 8-year-old to tell me the capitals of different countries in the world. He was telling me about having Indian friends, and he could not just tell me the capital of India. And I could just imagine, when I was his age, we used to have lessons at school, and part of it was naming. It was a kind of game, naming different countries and their capitals. And I could never forget how we used to say Jamaica. Anytime it came to my turn, I was always told to give the capital of Jamaica, and I would scream Kingston. You know, but for an 8-year-old boy who could not even read the time appropriately, I felt really bad. And when I checked their schoolwork, I saw a lot of things were lacking. And it's prompted one of the reasons why my husband and I don't even wish to raise kids here. We want to take our kids back home so that they can have the kind of education we had. For Christ's sake, this is just the only and first time I'm studying here. My primary, secondary, high school, university education was all done in Nigeria. So, and look at me. I don't think I did too bad, at least for level of education that was received in Nigeria. I did well. It's just, yes, the government's not trying its best, but you can still get good sound education for your children in the West. I don't know of any western part of Africa, but I know in Nigeria and in Ghana you have some of the best schools, both private universities, federal universities, schools. You can primary, secondary schools. You have some of the best, and your children will be given, although it might be Eurocentric as I keep saying, but a better Eurocentric education. At least better than a lot of what I see here. And the education, it just doesn't give you the mind to aspire to just do vocational courses. It gives you a mind to aspire for higher things, better careers. So I think when it comes to education, just remember someone like me. I'm the product of the Nigerian educational system, and I feel that I haven't done too bad. So be rest assured, and as I said, you have to have friends that you can, ask about these things wherever you move into, especially as I've signified that you move into urban centers first. Wherever you move into, I know for certain Nigeria and Ghana are places where you can actually, without knowing your next door neighbor, walk up to your next door neighbor's gate and knock. You can actually knock, and anybody who's there can answer you. You can say, oh please, I'm new to this place, I'm looking for a school to put my children into. Or you can even visit before then and see how it is. Even get schools for your kids before you now do the final relocating. But I can assure you that if you search properly, you will find good schools at affordable prices. Because, well, I'm a product of some of those schools, and I believe I turned out quite alright when it comes to education. Then as for employment, I don't think anybody will relocate and expect to be idle when they get there. So yes, especially if you are thinking of Ghana and Nigeria, it is a qualification centered society. If you are relocating and you don't want to go into business, you want to pursue a career, please go with the barest of qualifications. Just go with something, because they value qualifications where we come from in the West, especially West Africa in general. They value qualifications. So you have to go with your qualifications, and that's if you're not going to be running a private business of your own. And also, well, I think the best thing is to, as I said, run a business, because at the end of the day, all of us, we are aiming to have businesses of our own. So it would be advisable to go with a qualification if you want to get employed. And also, as I said, you can do your groundwork before you finally decide to relocate. So that's just another thing. I'll stop here and then go to part 3. And in part 3, I will talk about crime and some aspects of religion. Alright, thank you. Bye. Yeah, this is part 4, and I'm going to be talking about crime and religion. Now, I just asked you this question real quickly. Is there anywhere in the world where there's not crime? Can I hear a no? Okay. Now, it's just that unlike the West, where crimes are sometimes committed without motive, you just are walking by and someone just stabs a person, and it's not as if something is, I don't understand, but a lot of people just commit crimes out of their psychotic problems. Maybe they have a screw loose in the head, or they've been smoking a lot of pot or sniffing a lot of drugs. A lot of the killings, the stabbings, you really can't explain, because you don't understand the motive behind some of the things people do. But I can assure you that some of the crimes that are perpetrated, in fact majority of the crimes perpetrated in places like Nigeria, in a place like Nigeria, they always have a motive, and the motive is simple: getting something out of you. So I just say this, and I know it takes the grace of God, but throughout my whole stay and my life in Nigeria, I've never experienced burglars or people attacking me or and my family. So and the only thing that I can say is think of was the assassination of my dad. But my dad was deeply into talking about politics and trying to, you know, as I said in one of my other videos, trying to correct through his work as a journalist some of the problems we were encountering by speaking up against the government, and that got him assassinated. But for you who's not even going to be thinking of that in the first place, I don't think there's much that you need to fear, except that you have to be normally careful. And I feel for anybody who's lived with so much hate and racism, you always have your head looking above your shoulders like that. So I shouldn't even be preaching a message of being careful. I think we know what being careful means. And about 419 scammers in Nigeria, it's very simple. If you are not, I keep saying, if you are not a greedy person, you will not get scammed. Because as soon as you see what their kind of strategies, you discover that this is just simply, how can you give someone $200 and the person is promising to double your money through a kind of business you're not even sure about the foundation. He's promising to triple or quadruple your money. It's not that easy. So once you have something like that, you know it's not for real. And as I keep saying, another thing I just want to say is get some of your friends who are continental Africans living with you in the West, get them to educate you, get them to, you know, link you with people back in the West or back where you're trying to go to. You know, people, they can link you with trusted people, you know. But as for crime, I keep saying, it is all over the world. The only thing is to be careful. And then I just quickly say this about our police, because I know a lot of blacks in the West have problems with police, because sometimes, and we will not just hide it, sometimes we are stopped for no reason other than we are black. It is a reality. But about the police, like in Nigeria where I come from, you don't really have too much problems with the police, except that they constantly want to get tips from you for no apparent reason. But the way I've gotten over the tips, giving tips to police, is this: I just look at it like they're standing there at the checkpoint doing their job, and they are like, oh, my brother, my sister, do you have anything for us for the weekend? How much is it? Just something little. I know a lot of people will criticize me and say, oh, you're pushing corruption. But I just keep looking at it from the fact that I've been successful. I've managed to make it. And these are people who are struggling. What's the big deal? So I don't make a big deal about that. But for sure, be rest assured that the police will not be on your tail just because you're black. Because why? You've come to a place where all of us were black. Maybe when you open your mouth to talk, they might say, ah, our brothers from America, what's up? Just relate with them. Feel free with them. Because I've got police stop us once or twice when we're in Nigeria driving, and it's very simple. Just relate naturally with them, be friendly with them, and there will be no big deal, no problem. On religion, I will just quickly say this, that you just have to make sure if you're a Christian, this will now be part 5. Sorry, I guess some of you heard my phone just rang. That was my husband, and I have to pick up the call. So basically on religion, I would quickly say this, that first, for Christians, there are loads of churches, whether Orthodox, Catholic, Anglican, Protestant, Gospel churches, Pentecostal churches, but you have to be very careful. I just prescribe that you go to churches that are more or less, what will I say now? Churches that are more or less established. I won't be advertising any church here, but go to big churches that are established. And this is what I keep saying. Nigeria, or I should think Ghana, because I know Ghanaians are very friendly people. It's a place where you have a lot of Christians, so you can actually, people will be actually glad to direct you to a good church. You know, people will be very glad. You don't have to know them. Just walk up to them, you know, knock on their doors and say, hello, I've just moved in here and blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for a church to go to on Sunday. And then for those of us who want to go into traditional African religion, I don't know much about that, but I know that they are very welcoming also. Like for instance, Oshun, I had my youth service program for a full year in Oshun State, and some of you who are into traditional Yoruba religion, you will have encountered Oshun, and for quite a long time, for some years, they had this white lady, Susan Wenger, who was the Oshun high priestess. So for people who are good enough to accept a white person as a high priestess of a traditional African religion, I don't even have to say more about the tolerance. So if you know that is what you want to do, then you are very welcome to go ahead with that. Then another thing is, if you're a Muslim, then there are churches, there are mosques around that you can go to, and this I also say, please feel free to ask. Nigeria is a place, and I know Ghana too is a place where you can walk up to people and say, please, I'm looking for the nearest mosque. And when you go into such places, participate. It will help you, because then you tend to spread your tentacles and get more confidence of more people around you, and you tend to get people do things with you. Okay, so that aside, I would now go on to talk about healthcare. Yes, healthcare, it's not all about the pictures you see in the media of children dying of sickness and blah blah blah. Let me tell you, the truth is that if it's you know, Nigeria, and I know Ghana is the same thing. It's not more or less like a welfare state, and we don't have things like health insurance over there or the NHS. But one thing I know is, if you have, if you work hard, you have your money, you will get very good health care. There are private hospitals, there are government hospitals that have qualified doctors, nurses, practitioners that know exactly what they're doing. But as I keep saying, ask, and you will be referred to some of the best, healthcare centers in the country or wherever you find yourself. But and I know a lot about that, because I grew up in a home where my mom's a nurse. And I know for sure that if you want good medical attention, you will get it. So this is not an issue of you're going somewhere. And that's why I keep hammering on you, first of all, trying to stay within the urban centers. before you move on to villages. You have to just like check out the villages on holidays and not just say you're moving straight there to live within the villages. That is my own prescription. So I said, for healthcare, be rest assured, if you're willing to work hard, you're making your money, you will have the best of health care for yourself, your family, your kids, and your children. Just as I said, ask. And this is another thing. I know that there are people who are trying to make programs to integrate black Africans, but I just say very quickly that you don't need to spend too much money realizing yourself in a society like Nigeria or Ghana. It just takes you simply walking up to someone and asking. And as strange as it may sound, because I know a lot of people in the West are not used to talking to people, because you get the look like, huh? Why is he coming up to me? Hey, I don't know you. But that's not how we do it back home. When someone stops you to talk to you, and especially you identify through the person's voice that the person is not too familiar, especially in the urban centers, you will be directed to where probably the thing you're looking for. You will be directed. So I keep saying, ask. Feel free to ask. I'll stop this video here and then I'll go on to that would now be part 6. And I'll be talking on training our kids, hygiene, business and politics. Alright, bye. Yeah, so this is part 6, and I'll quickly talk about social life. First of all, I've been to Ghana I think once, and the social life is actually awesome. I've experienced the nightlife. There's a lot of jazz bars, clubs, where you get to experience traditional Ghanaian music, which is absolutely lovely to dance to. There's even in Nigeria, there's so much to do at night. It's just for you to, you know, ask and get friends to take you places, you and your family. There's also loads of stuff for kids to do. There is the beach, you can take them to beautiful beaches. There are amusement parks to take them to. You find a lot of what do you call it now, cinemas, first class cinemas, where you can actually go and watch movies. There's a lot to do to entertain your children and yourself. And there are shopping centers, shopping malls. You can get what you're looking for. So I think basically socially you wouldn't, in fact, this is what a lot of Africans from the West Africans say, that life is so boring here in the West, because when we're back home there is just too much to do when it comes to social life. Then I'll just quickly say this, on training your children, your kids, expect some form of outside interference. Even from school, you get teachers calling you and telling you, oh, this is what I think is happening with your child, this is how I feel you should handle it. We're not brought up only by our parents. It's more or less like a communal duty. You find your aunties, your uncles, your neighbors and friends in your vicinity looking out for your kids and trying to correct your kids when you're not around. Please and please do not see this as undue interference. It's just that we have that feeling that we owe it as a duty to our neighbors or our friends to watch out for their children and look after them, especially if their parents are not around. And then on hygiene, I'll quickly say that please and please get over yourselves, because I know right now, and in the past regime, like in Lagos for instance, the past governor has done a lot when it comes to repairing, blocking sewers, you know, taking care of the markets, cleaning up the environment. It's an ongoing process, but I can assure you that things are happening when it comes to cleaning up places. The government's not doing a lot, but things are started to be done in progress concerning hygiene. The only thing I would say is that take care of your vicinity, your compounds, clean up your area. And there's something that's called in Nigeria, it's called sanitation day. It is, I think it's the first, is it the first Saturday of every month? Every family mandatorily comes out to clean their compounds, clean the streets, clean their vicinity. And I tell you that if a soldier catches you or a police catches you walking on the street without cleaning at that time of the day, in the morning, you will be in big trouble. So I think as per hygiene, you have to get used to some certain things, but above all, there is an ongoing process, I know right now, of cleaning our environments better. Then when it comes to business, and I will connect this with employment, please do not be deceived that there is employment everywhere. This is why I say come with qualifications, because that is what will set you apart. This is one of the reasons why West Africans especially go out to study. It's not because everybody loves to read the book, but we go out to study because we know that in doing this, we will be able to secure good employment for ourselves and take care of our families. But I will advise that, because I've noticed that a lot of black Africans in the West, and especially in America, are very business inclined, and I appreciate them for that. So if you're coming, you can come with your business ideas, you know. But I will say this, please and please, no credit giving when you start a business. Even a lot of Africans starting up businesses, they are starting to get used to the idea of running a business professionally. You do not give credit to people. You make sure that when you're running your business, you do it in a professional manner. And I know a lot of you people from the West, black Africans from the West, you understand what I'm saying. It is a good environment to run business. And also, don't forget, you have to get permits from the local government council. But understand what those permits are about before you go and get them, so you don't get overcharged. Because even those of us who are going to be finishing from uni go back and say we want to start a business, once they know you've come from the West, you've come from abroad, they basically feel you have all the money, so they are out to get something out of you sometimes. But once they see that you are not you are so into the system that you are ready to price and make them know, look, you can't cheat me, this is what I know is how much you pay. They respect that and then give you the real price of things. So basically the thing is that you must be vigilant, you must be wise, and understand what you are about when you relocate. But I just want to say this, that if you have any further questions, please send me messages. And anybody who's thinking of relocating can send me messages. I might be able to connect you to one or two trusted people that could help you get more information and, you know, help you settle down. But the thing is this: how wonderful would it be if Africans, you know, bring all their education, their experience, continental Africans bring their education, their experiences, black Africans bring their education, their experiences into that continent, into our continent, and make it something beautiful. Because at the end of the day, I keep saying, the continent is the only true home that we have. We can't continue to fight against our own home. It is the only true home that we have. And I will just say this: anybody that is wanting to relocate, start telling yourself, you know, within your consciousness, Africa is my home. Believe it in you. And I tell you, when you go back there, you accept that it is your home. You will succeed. You will live a fulfilled life over there. And I tell you, anybody who walks up to you, a black African like you, within the continent, who walks up to you and tells you, oh, get out of the continent, this is not your home, you have every right as a black African person to tell the person to F off, because this is your home. You have come back home. But as I said, if you have any further questions, please feel free to send me messages and I will respond. And anybody that is thinking especially of going to Nigeria to, you know, settle, relocate, send me a message, and I will get you in touch with one or two people that I know back in Nigeria that will be able to find time to put you through. Alright, thanks so much. Bye.